Marcus got his first big promotion at 28. His salary jumped from $55,000 to $85,000 almost overnight, $30,000 more per year. He remembers the exact moment he saw the offer letter. He called his girlfriend, texted his parents, celebrated with friends that weekend. For the first time in his adult life, he felt like he'd made it, like the struggle was finally over. That was 4 years ago. Today, Marcus makes $92,000, but somehow he has less money in his savings account now than he did when he was making $55,000. His credit card balance has crept up to $8,000. He still feels like he's living paycheck to paycheck, just with nicer stuff. Better apartment, newer car, a closet full of clothes he barely wears. He's not struggling exactly, but he's not winning either, and he can't figure out where all the money went. If you've ever gotten a raise and wondered why it didn't change your life the way you thought it would, or if you've noticed that making more money somehow hasn't translated into actually having more money, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're about to understand exactly why that happens. My name is Fad, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people quietly sabotage their financial futures every time their income increases. If you're someone who makes decent money but still feels broke, or you've climbed the salary ladder only to find yourself with the same financial stress at a higher income level, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's what nobody tells you about making more money. There are specific salary thresholds where lifestyle inflation doesn't just creep in, it detonates. And most people hit these thresholds completely unprepared for what happens next. Lifestyle inflation, sometimes called lifestyle creep, is the phenomenon where your spending rises in lockstep with your income. You make more, you spend more. On paper, that sounds harmless. You're earning it, why shouldn't you enjoy it? And that's exactly the trap, because the issue isn't that you're spending more. The issue is that you're spending almost all of it, leaving your financial position fundamentally unchanged despite earning significantly more. Marcus isn't financially illiterate. He knows he should be saving. He knows he should be investing. But every month, after rent, after car payments, after meals out with colleagues, after the gym membership and the streaming services and the weekend trips and the better haircuts and the nicer clothes for work, there's just not much left. He's not being reckless, he's just living the life that people at his income level are supposed to live, and that's the problem. The truth is, there are 3 specific salary ranges where lifestyle inflation hits hardest, and each one comes with its own unique set of traps that will quietly destroy your ability to build wealth if you don't see them coming. Let's start with some context. A study from the Federal Reserve found that the median American household has about $5,300 in savings. That's across all income levels. Even households earning 6 figures often have shockingly little in liquid savings relative to what they make. And it's not because high earners are financially irresponsible. It's because as income rises, so do expectations, social circles, neighborhoods, and all the costs that come with them. There's a concept in behavioral economics called the hedonic treadmill. It's the idea that humans quickly return to a baseline level of happiness despite major positive or negative life changes. You get a raise, you feel great for a few weeks, then you adjust and the new income becomes your normal. But here's the kicker. Your spending adjusts faster than your happiness does. You upgrade your life immediately, but the satisfaction fades while the bills remain. The Consumer Expenditure Survey from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that as household income increases, spending increases almost proportionally across most categories. Housing, transportation, food, entertainment, all of it scales up. What doesn't scale up proportionally, savings and investment rates. Those tend to increase much more slowly, if at all. Now, this isn't about shaming anyone for enjoying the money they earn. This is about understanding that there are predictable moments in your income trajectory where the pressure to spend intensifies dramatically, and if you're not aware of them, you'll end up like Marcus, making double what you used to make, but somehow not actually better off. So let's talk about the 3 salary levels where this happens, and let's use real numbers. The first threshold is the jump from $50,000 to $75,000. This is the "I've finally arrived" moment. At $50,000, you're solidly lower middle class in most American cities. You're renting a small place, driving an older car, being careful with money. You're not struggling, but you're definitely not comfortable. Then you hit $75,000, and suddenly you feel like you've broken through. Here's what happens. At $50,000, after taxes, you're taking home roughly $40,000 a year, or about $3,300 a month. At $75,000, you're taking home about $57,000, or $4,750 a month. That's an extra $1,450 a month. Life-changing money, right? Except now you're thinking, I can finally afford a nicer apartment. You move from a $1,200 studio to an $1,800 one-bedroom in a better neighborhood. That's $600 more a month. You trade in your paid-off 2012 Honda to a 2022 model with a $450 monthly payment. You start going out to nicer restaurants because your coworkers at this new job do. That's another $300 a month. You upgrade your wardrobe because you're in a professional environment now. You get a better gym membership. You subscribe to a few more services. You take one extra vacation a year. Add it up, and that $1,450 in extra monthly income is gone. And because you feel wealthier, you're also less strict with the small stuff. Coffee here, Uber there, impulse purchases on Amazon. You're not even aware it's happening. But at the end of the month, you're in the exact same position you were at $50,000. No additional savings, no wealth being built, just a better lifestyle that you now can't afford to downgrade from. The second threshold is $100,000 to $150,000. This is where things get really dangerous, because this is where you enter the realm of successful in the eyes of society. You've made it to 6 figures, you're doing well, and the expectations that come with that income level are enormous. At $100,000, after taxes, you're taking home around $72,000 a year, or $6,200 a month. At $150,000, that's jumping to about $105,000 a year, or $8,750 a month, an extra $2,750 a month. That's substantial. But now you're thinking about buying a house because that's what people at your income level do. You move from renting at $2,000 a month to a mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance totaling $3,500 a month. That's $1,500 more. You upgrade from a Honda to a nicer SUV or a luxury sedan because you're parking next to your colleagues' cars and you don't want to look out of place. That's another $600 to $800 in payments and insurance. You have kids or you're planning for them, so childcare, better school district considerations, activities, all of that starts factoring in. Your social circle has changed. You're going to weddings that cost more to attend, dinners where the bill is $200, not $60. You're expected to contribute more, give better gifts, keep appearances. By the time you account for all of it, that $2,750 is absorbed, and again, you're living a better life on paper, but you're not building wealth. You're building a more expensive lifestyle that you require to keep earning at that level or higher just to maintain it. The third threshold, and this one surprises people, is $200,000 to $300,000. You'd think at this level, wealth building would be automatic, and for some people it is. But for many, this is where lifestyle inflation reaches its most destructive form, because the spending opportunities are nearly limitless and the social pressure is intense.
At $200,000, after taxes, you're taking home around $135,000 a year, or $11,250 a month. At $300,000, you're looking at roughly $195,000 a year, or $16,250 a month, an extra $5,000 a month. But now you're in a different world. You're looking at homes in the $800,000 to $1.2 million range, because that's what your peers are buying. Your mortgage, taxes, insurance, and upkeep might be $6,000 to $8,000 a month. You've got 2 nice cars, maybe one of them is leased, you're sending your kids to private school or paying for elite travel sports teams and tutors, you're taking international vacations, not just domestic road trips. You're investing in your appearance, your home, your network, you're giving more to charity because it's expected, you're helping family members because you can. And here's the insidious part, it all feels reasonable.
Every single expense is justifiable. You're not being frivolous. You're investing in your kids' future. You're living in a safe neighborhood. You're maintaining professional standards. You're being generous. But at the end of the year, despite making $300,000, you might only be saving $20,000 or $30,000. That's a 7 to 10% savings rate. Meanwhile, someone making $75,000 who's intentional about their spending might be saving 20% or more. So why does this happen? Why do intelligent, educated people fall into this trap over and over? First, there's the invisibility of incremental spending. You don't wake up one day and decide to blow your entire raise. It happens in small decisions that feel insignificant in isolation. An extra $50 here, $100 there. A slightly nicer version of something you were going to buy anyway. None of it feels extravagant, but compounded over a month, over a year, it adds up to thousands of dollars that vanish without you noticing. Second, there's social comparison and identity. As your income rises, your peer group changes. You're no longer comparing yourself to college friends who are scraping by. You're comparing yourself to colleagues, neighbors, people in your industry who make similar money. And the baseline for normal resets. What felt like luxury at $50,000 feels like necessity at $150,000 because everyone around you is living that way. You don't want to be the person who can't keep up, who has to say no to dinners, who drives the worst car in the parking lot. It's not about materialism, it's about belonging. Third, and this is critical, the system is designed to absorb your raises. Every industry that caters to higher earners is built to extract as much as possible. Real estate agents will qualify you for the maximum mortgage you can afford, not what's wise. Car salesmen will stretch you to the nicest model. Retailers will show you premium options. Your raises are priced in before you even get them. The economy is structured to scale costs with income. And fourth, there's loss of financial margin. This is the real killer. When you're at $50,000, you probably have very little margin, but you also have very little to lose. Your life is simple, your fixed costs are low, and if something goes wrong, you can make adjustments. But when you're at $150,000 with a $3,500 mortgage, 2 car payments, kids and activities, and a lifestyle that requires constant funding, you've locked yourself into a high-cost structure. You've traded flexibility for comfort. And if you lose your job or face a financial emergency, you don't have room to breathe. You're income rich, but cash poor. Here's the reframe, and it's simple but powerful. Your goal at every income level should not be to live like someone at that income level. Your goal should be to live like someone at the income level below you and build wealth with the difference. I'm not saying live like you make $30,000 when you make $150,000. That's not realistic and it's not sustainable. But if you make $150,000, live like someone who makes $100,000 and invest the other $50,000. If you make $100,000, live like someone who makes $75,000. The idea is to let your lifestyle inflate slowly and deliberately, not automatically. Think of it this way.
When Marcus went from $55,000 to $85,000, if he had kept his lifestyle at $55,000 for just 2 years and invested that extra $30,000 annually, he'd have $60,000 saved, plus investment returns. That's a down payment. That's an emergency fund that changes his entire risk profile. That's the foundation of wealth. Instead, he upgraded immediately and has nothing to show for the raise except higher bills. The wealthy understand this instinctively. There's a reason so many millionaires drive older cars and live in modest homes relative to their income. It's not because they're cheap. It's because they understand that wealth is built in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. The wider that gap, the faster you build options, security, and freedom. So, here's the framework. When you get a raise or a new job with higher pay, follow this process before you change anything about your lifestyle. Step 1. Calculate your net increase. Figure out exactly how much more you're taking home monthly after taxes. Don't estimate, run the numbers. If your gross pay went up $20,000, that's probably around $14,000 after taxes, or about $1,150 a month. Know the real number. Step 2. Allocate before you spend. Before you upgrade anything, decide where that money is going. A good rule of thumb is the 50-30-20 split on new income. 50% goes to wealth building, savings, investments, retirement contributions. 30% can go toward intentional lifestyle upgrades that genuinely improve your quality of life. 20% goes to giving or experiences, things that create memories or help others. So, if you got an extra $1,150 a month, $575 gets invested or saved automatically. $345 can go towards something that matters to you, maybe a nicer place or a better car, but one thing, not everything. $230 goes to experiences, travel, helping family, charity. The key is the decision is made in advance and it's structured. Step 3. Wait 6 months before making big changes. When you get a raise, there's a psychological rush. You want to celebrate, to reward yourself, to finally get the things you've been putting off. Resist that urge. Live on your old budget for 6 months. Let the extra money pile up in savings. This does 2 things. It proves to yourself that you can, and it gives you time to make better decisions about what actually matters. After 6 months, if you still want to move to a nicer apartment, fine, but you'll make that choice from a position of financial strength, not emotional reaction. Step 4. Focus on reducing fixed costs as a percentage of income. The biggest trap at every income level is locking yourself into high fixed costs. The mortgage, the car payments, the subscriptions, the commitments that don't flex. As your income rises, your goal should be to keep fixed costs at or below 50% of your take-home pay. If you can do that, you maintain flexibility. You can weather job loss, market downturns, health issues. If your fixed costs are 70 or 80% of your income, you're fragile, no matter how much you make. Here's 5. Automate wealth building. The only way to reliably build wealth as your income increases is to remove the decision from your daily life. Set up automatic transfers on payday. Increase your 401k contribution with every raise. Max out your Roth IRA. Build a brokerage account that gets funded every month without you thinking about it. If you have to manually decide to save every month, you'll find reasons not to. If it's automatic, wealth builds quietly in the background while you live your life. And finally, step 6, define what enough looks like. This is the hardest part and the most important. At some point, you have to decide what level of lifestyle is actually enough for you to be happy and secure, not compared to others, not based on what's possible, based on what genuinely makes your life better. For some people, that's a modest house and financial independence by 45. For others, it's a nicer home and working longer, but with more comfort along the way. There's no right answer, but if you never define it, you'll chase lifestyle upgrades forever and wake up at 60 with a great house and no retirement savings. Let me leave you with this. Marcus is still at that company, still making over $90,000, still feeling like he's running in place. But about 6 months ago, he started noticing the pattern. He saw that every time he got a raise or bonus, it disappeared into his life without improving his actual financial position. So he made a choice. He decided the next raise he gets, he's not touching it. It goes straight to investments, automatic, non-negotiable. He's going to let his current lifestyle be enough for now and build wealth with the growth. He hasn't gotten that next raise yet, but he's ready for it. And that readiness, that awareness, that's the difference between someone who earns a lot and someone who builds wealth. Lifestyle inflation isn't evil. Enjoying the money you earn isn't wrong. But if you're not careful, you can climb the income ladder your entire career and arrive at the top with nothing to show for it, except an expensive life you can't afford to step away from. The people who win are the ones who recognize that every salary threshold is a choice point. You can absorb the raise into consumption, or you can use it to build the gap between what you earn and what you need. That gap is wealth. That gap is freedom. If this helped you see your own income differently, hit the like button. If you want more honest breakdowns of how money actually works, subscribe. And drop a comment. Let me know which salary threshold you're at and whether you felt this pressure. I read every one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.